Hello everybody, it's your boy again, Defanos, and today we're going to be doing some farming for just some money to replace our mage mats, right? The graveyard's closer than the bandits, so, you know, that's why we're here. We also picked up the general quest just so we're not wasting too much time. And today I decided that while I'm out here farming for the mats that I would demonstrate the spells that I like to use and why I like to use them. And it comes down to the fact that, you know, the mats for the spells that I use are readily available in town, okay? And we're going to go over that right now. And we're going to go real slow so everyone understands. So the first spell we're going to go over today is Hailstone. Accumulate Pouch and Salt, both that are readily available in town by the mage vendor and the utility vendor, slash cooking vendor. So what does Hailstone do? Oh, it's a quick cast, it pulls, and obviously it fucks, right? So that's Hailstone. Now let's say you want to pull a bigger pack, right? You would use Scouring Steam. As you can see, it pulls a lot of them at the same time. You throw down a static field. Hit him with your sword once, and there you go. You just got to be careful when you start doing this stuff, right? So what are these spells and what did I just do, right? So Scouring Steam requires Burning Salt's Pouch and just normal water. Very easy mats to a chain. You can get water at the well. You can buy the salt's pouch at the mage vendor. And then, of course, when it comes to Static Shock, right? So this is under the arrangement tree, and this is the AoE put in the ground. You use Burning Salt's Pouch and Cuprum. Cuprum is probably the hardest mat to get out of all the mats I use here. And you get Cuprum from Malachite, which is a byproduct of mining and refining. So that's essentially the only one that's air quote hard to get for the lightning spells. But if you're just wanting to do ice and water, you can easily buy that down at the store, right? Now, we're going to go over some of the more complicated spells, which is Comet. It's a big cast. It's essentially the counterpart to Fireball. And it stacks with combos, right? So, again, you're trying to pull a big group, and then you immediately cast Ice. And there you go. That's how you do that. Very easy, very straightforward combo. Now, the reason why you cast water with lightning or ice is that it increases the modifier, it increases the frostbite or ignite timer or whatever on whatever you're casting. So that's the main reason why you want to use combos. But if you're just wanting to run through, do stuff real cheap and quick and fast and dirty, just use Hailstone. Just spam that shit. Again, there's no auto aim in this game, so you have to sit here and actually manually aim your spells. The bane of all Star Citizens, right? So, you know, again, but your mana runs down fast doing that, right? So this is why you always want to take some type of melee skill. Now, most mage users will be a dagger boy or a dagger girl. You know what I'm saying? So, and the reason why is because they dedicate more of their stats into their other trees and stuff. But since I'm a human mage, I have more points to play with, therefore I have more strength, and therefore I can use a bigger stick. A dagger also has its benefits, but a good old-fashioned steel Rhizar sword, that also really, it claps, honestly. It's fast, too. It's that right middle ground, what you need. And you can just sit here and you know, switch the melee, you know, while you're waiting for your mana to recharge. Or if you just want to, like, take your armor on and off all the time, you can do that to recharge your mana faster, to recharge anything else faster, right? Healing spells. Healing spells are very important. You always want to carry calamine and water on you for your healing spells. Okay? And I think ecumenical is pretty self-explanatory. It's a tree of magic that kind of branches around all the things, right? So, what's next on the list? Well, we have Lightning Bolt. And you combine that with a Hail, and there you go. You delete. So you just stand here, you farm zombie heads, whatever, right? You know, you can bring a horse and, you know, pick up the carcasses, butcher, and all that stuff if you really want to, like, min-max the amount of money you're making doing this, right? But this is just kind of a quick and dirty thing, you know, to show y'all essentially how I play the game. So, you have lesser heal, you have greater heal, and then of course if somebody foams you, right, which is fulmination, which is a classic, right? So what you would want to do is you would foam... Oh, you fumbled it. This is why people take more ecumenical spells. Well, that's embarrassing. So there you go, right? And then you hit him with that. And you just stand here and watch him pop. Just like that. So these are some very basic combos, basic things you can do as a mage, right? To make your life a little bit easier, so you don't have to stand here and melee chat or, you know, any of that kind of stuff, right? It's just another way of playing the game. Now, the way I have my stuff set up, right? So this is my mage bag, right? So we may get into some weather changing lessons, but for the moment we're gonna stick with just the basics, right? So calamine, salt, and the pouches. These are the 4 basic ingredients that you need to start as an elementalist mage, right? To use the lowest tier spells, and you're also going to want to carry some water on you as well. And as you can see, since you cast Hailstone so fast, right? You're going to go through your mana really fast doing that, right? So, depending on your personal aim level, right? And what you're wearing, is going to ultimately determine how often you switch between melee and magic. I like to do both, personally, right? And you'll also, while you're out here farming zombies, you'll farm other mats as well. The zombies will drop mage mats, beginning mage mats, which is also a plus, right? So this is another reason why I come over here and farm zombies instead of doing bandits when it comes to doing mage mats. It's just more efficient, and over time, this stuff stacks up and it will save you money. So again, what you'll do is you'll just stay in the graveyard and you'll farm up, you know, as many heads as you can carry, whatever, right? Oh, there's a great pack right there, right? So this is another thing you can do, right? So let's say, oh, I don't have any purified. That's unfortunate, but we can just do this. And while that's moving, right, you cast the ice ball. Game's been acting weird today. Lots of frame drops after I kill something for some reason. I don't know why that is, but it's just been like that all day. So we're getting pretty close to full on zombie hits here, right? So while you're waiting for whatever to respawn, just go ahead and throw your mage mats that you've collected into your bag. So you always want to carry a bag on you, and you know, carry what you're comfortable with losing with it when it comes to mage mats. But also keep in mind that the rate in which you cast a spell is going to determine how many mats you carry, right? So you kind of always want to be around, you know, 100 cast for healing. You always want to be around 100 cast for, you know, the basic stuff, right? Stuff that isn't expensive, but is cheap. Like I said, Hailstone, like once you get Elemental unlocked and to the point to where you can kill things fast with it like I can, right? You're going to want to carry enough to keep you out here long enough to where you can grind properly. So the thing about these zombies, right, is that they all stand in one spot most of the time. So you have the ability to just walk up on them like this. So again, this isn't really about farming Clade, unless you're like a brand new player. This is more or less just showing y'all a way of doing things, right? And see, when they get to that low of health, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I prefer to use my sword. Because it saves you a cast. I was hoping the damn undead zombie would be up here, or the general, but apparently he's been killed already, which is very sad and unfortunate. So again, you don't want to get too overweight with zombie heads. You know, you'll run slow. And as you can see, we're already down to 17 Filinate pouches, right? So we need to switch over to the Comet. It's like I said, this is a bigger, longer cast. So you'll cast Comet or water. Oops. Oh, out of mana. So yeah, while we're waiting for the zombie to respawn, we'll go over the spells again. So again, you want to use Hailstone, and then you're going to want to use Scouring Steam, Comet, Lightning Bolt, Static Charge, and then this one that I haven't casted yet is Fuming Bubble, and I'll show you why I don't cast it, because these spells are more PvP oriented spells. Okay, so I really don't like, you know, use them on PvE, and I'll show you why. So this is Fulminate, or Foam Bubble, whatever. And basically, it's basically a poison ball. It's like the poor man's miasma, right? And as you can see, the poison timer really doesn't matter, unfortunately. So I don't know if that's the way Henrik wants it, but I think that the poison should do a little bit more damage when it comes to this spell, personally. But then again, I don't have miasma, so. And then of course we have the quick lightning ability, right? This is again PvP spells. You want to cast fast, right? Anything that casts fast is which is ideal for PvP, right? If you're sitting here doing this shit, if you're sitting here like, you know, waiting for your spell to cast, that's more ideal for a PvE situation. But, you know, if you can get those combos off in PvP, then great. But the chances of you actually hitting your comrades with it is also increased. So if you're going to be a mage and doing group fights, then I would literally suggest getting this talent right here, which is Tactician. And, you know, it reduces the damage you do to your allies by 25%, which is good, but at the same time, they're still going to catch those debuffs if they get in your water, if they get in your ice and all that stuff, right? So that's something you got to keep in mind. Now, the last spell I'm going to show you that I don't use often is Ice Wall. As you can see, it's more like, or ice barrier rather. So basically anything inside of the barrier will get got, right? So what you would want to do with that situation is you would cast, you know, Wellspring, and then you would cast that spell. And basically anything inside of the barrier while the water's going off is going to start getting frozen and frostbitten and chilled, right? But again, it's you hit yourself with it, so it's not really ideal of a combo, right? Okay, the general's up. That's good. Alright, so I'll show you guys how to do the general now. So the general, most people just will melee chat it down, which is generally what's fixing to happen right here, right? What I'm fixing to show you guys is how to do combos, alright? And what this will do is it'll do a lot more damage to him. So we can use lightning or we can use ice. I prefer to use ice because it does add more damage over time. So first thing you're going to want to do is you want to make sure you're set up in a nice spot. You've got good elevation, right? Because you don't want to fuck this up, alright? But you also want to be far enough away to where you can get off your secondary cast before you go. So anyway, we do that. We hit him with that. And now that we've got him all nice and wet, we hit him with the static charge. Pull out your weapon. Start blocking. As you can see, he's already at half health, right? So this is a longer process. Just hitting him like this will take him down, right? But when he's in your face like this, you're locked in, you know what I'm saying? You really don't have time to cast, and you need to have your weapon out to block his attacks, otherwise he'll tear the shit up, so. And there you go. That's how you do Zombie General, right? Quick and efficient, easy, dirty, right? No bullshit. So basically what happens here is that most players, you know, like I said, you have to unlock all these abilities. You have to go around the entire map and, you know, farm the geodes, but doing mining to get the skill books required. Thankfully, a lot of the stuff you can get is in Tindrum, but when it comes to Toxai, you're gonna have to just stand there and mine until you're ready to leave. It's probably the worst part of the process, honestly, is Toxai. But after you get done with the Grand Tour, right? After you get all the skill books, and then of course after you stand around and train like Goku in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, constantly fumbling and casting these spells, then you will get to the point to where you can start doing this kind of stuff, right? Now, ideally, you know, when you start, Ecumenical is the way to go, right? But the foundation, like, you're gonna wanna either use a dagger or a one-handed sword. If you're an absolute lunatic like me, then you'll use a two-handed sword. But again, it's going to come down to what race you play. And see, the thing about humans is that, like I said, they have more profession points and they have more action points. So that means that they have the ability to dedicate more of their points into the actual tree itself, whereas the other races in the game don't exactly have that ability, right? So if you do it right, you can make around 5 or 6 gold each time you go out and kill zombies. It's not a lot, but it's enough it's enough. All right. So now that we've got our gold, right? We made 5.5 gold. Again, not bad, right? That'll give you the ability to start buying the stuff and things that you need, right? So the first person we'll talk to is the cooking vendor, right? The cooking vendor, maybe he doesn't have it. Maybe it is the fucking utility vendor. I want to make sure I tell you guys right. I just forget which one of these fuckers has. Or is it the grocery vendor? It's the grocery vendor, boys. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do, like I said, is you want to buy... Nah, fuck that. You want... See how cheap that is, guys? Right? So, 1,000 salt is 50 silver. That is dirt fucking cheap compared to a sword or anything else in the game, right? So now we're going to go over here to the mage vendor. Magic vendor. And here are our pouches. And as you can see, the fulminate pouch is the cheapest out of all of them, right? So 100 of those will, again, cost you 80 silver. So again, one run through the graveyard, and you already have 100 cast for your hailstone, all right? If you need water, you come over here to the well in Vada, which is by the training dummies. As you can see, we're getting a shit ton of water, right? So, you don't need a lot, but it's enough, right? Now, the next thing you're going to need, if you haven't farmed enough of it already, right? Again, you come back to the magic vendor. And again, burning salts pouch is pretty pricey, right? Let's see what 100 of those look like. 100 of those is almost 2 gold, right? So that's another 1.5. These are the most expensive pouches in the game, right? Obviously, 10 of these is a gold, right? So it's like you don't want to really want to fuck with these anyway. This is for weather magic or weather modifier magic, right? These are the two you want to be fucking with most of the time. And then, of course, Calamane is here, and Niter is here, right? Niter is also another one that's important. So, Calamine, Niter. If you want to be able to cast Magic Reflect, then Rock Oil. And then these 2 pouches right here, and then some salt. And that is all you need to start doing basic elementalism in the game. That's it. And since we are going through so many of those hailstones, right, I'm going to go ahead and buy another, 200 of these, right, with the rest of my gold. So there you go, right? So now you have 300 cast for your hailstone, right? Now, again, pro tip, this is in fact a full loot PvP game, right? So you want to make sure that you don't take all of your mats outside at once, right? So if you want 100 cast for hailstone, this is what that looks like. So this is already this is your basic what it looks like out of your mage bag, right? You need ichor, You need Cuprum. You need this. This is not mandatory, but it's there, right? So basically we'll put all of our mandatory stuff on the top row. And then we'll put all of our extra stuff in the bottom row here, right? So this is what your pouch should look like. And that, like I said, this will give you everything you need to do basic magecraft, right? So the next thing we'll talk about, and this is something that I don't usually do, I usually just fuck with the ice magic, right? But I want to kind of like go over this as well, all right? So purified water is something that you need, right? And you can make purified water by taking a 10-to-1 ratio over here to the Fabakua, which is this right here, and I'll show you how to do it right now. So what you would do is you would go, okay, I want to take 1,000 of that, right? And then it's 10-to-1, right? So for every 1,000 water, you need 100 salt, okay? That's the basic recipe here, right? 10-to-1. And once you do that, right, you click it like this. And as you can see, we've made more purified water, okay? So that's essentially how you make purified water. A little bit of a, again, quick and dirty kind of tutorial here. So we're going to take this with us back to the crib, right? In fact, we're going to take all of our stuff with us back to the crib, right? We're going to do that now. Except for that, we're going to leave that there. We need to take this with us as well. I need to bring more of that. And some flickstone, because why not? Okay, so we have a lot of different spells that we can use here, right? So let's see if I can cast it. I can. Alright, we'll show you what that looks like. Some of these spells I don't use often, but I don't mind demonstrating them. So this one I'm fixing to do is called Star Shower. It's one that I don't cast often. And as you can see, it takes a long time to cast, right? And of course it says that my skill is too low to cast it, right? So that's something else I've got to air quote train, right? And you're gonna go through that a lot when you start doing magecraft, right? But for the weather, right, in order to cast Lightning Ball, which is something I didn't demonstrate here, is that you have to change the weather to do so. And the basic way to do that is you always start off with condensation. What this will do is it'll increase the humidity, right? And it'll make it start raining. And from there, you can either increase the heat or you can make it colder, right? So if you increase the heat after making it raining, it'll start to get foggy, right? And that's what you need, the environmental factor you need in order to use Lightning Ball. And if you want to make it snow, then obviously you decrease the temperature and you would use frigidity, right? And I believe that it does more, it makes your ice spells do more damage. I could be just fucking nuts, I don't know, but it seems like it does. So, anyway, that's basically it. There really isn't anything else to go over when it comes to magic, right? Each individual tree is going to need its own individual mats, right? And the reason I go over these spells, again, is because I believe that these are the easiest mats to get, right? And it also does a decent amount of damage. So when you look at the damage of Hailstone, right, it does 41 to 46, correct? Comet takes 3 or 4 times longer to cast and does the same amount of fucking damage, right? And it also costs another salt versus Hailstone. So there's a little bit of an AoE factor when it comes to Comet, Fireball, and, you know, fuming bubble. But depending on like what you're fighting and how many of them are being pulled at the same time is going to determine whether or not you use those spells, right? So the thing about what gives you skill in Mortal Online when it comes to magecraft or doing wizard stuff, right, is knowing what spell to cast and when. Most people, because combat happens so fast in this game that most people get overwhelmed by the amount of time they have to respond to a fight and not die. And usually any type of PvP engagement in this game normally is around 30 to 45 seconds on the top end. Some people are getting killed in under 10 seconds, right? So time to kill completely varies based on, again, who you're fighting and how their character is tuned, right? So, again, there's really no way to balance any of this outside of situational awareness. That's the only thing that I can think of that is the only factor that'll give you an edge in a lot of these engagements that you fight. It's just pure situational awareness. Because if you're caught off guard in any aspect, then and you lose the ability to do first strike in any combat situation, then you're already at a disadvantage. And that's why people hate red players, and that's why people hate people that don't use voice comms and do the RP bullshit, right? Because experienced PvPers, every last one of us will tell you that first strike is imperative to winning a fight. So people are going to do whatever they have to in order to ensure they get that first strike. And that's just how it is. So I'm taking a little bit of a risk right now, you know, running down here to the bandits with all these mage mats on me. But I'm okay with it. It's fine. It's whatever. And I'm going to see if I can kill a bandit with just hailstone. Alright? We're going to see what that looks like, boys. Or I try anyway, because there's so many of these fuckers here. So anyway, you just start casting. Alright, so as you can see, bandits have a much higher hit points. So you're gonna need to use the bigger spells, unfortunately, when it comes to doing bandits, right? It's just how it is. Now, if you hit them with a modifier with water, you'll freeze them, right? And you'll give them the frostbite status. But again, I'm going to, again, show you the difference here, right? And this is why we use static shock and all the other stuff, right? And again, I'm being a little bit silly. I'm pulling the whole damn camp, right? By demonstrating this shit. And this is, I know this is going to be a very long-winded video because I'm going on and on and on about things that a lot of people know about, but maybe most people don't. So, again, it depends on what you're shooting at, and it also depends on a lot of other factors as well, right? That's why I use the AoE magic when I do bandits. What I'll do is I'll pull 1 or 2. So, 3 is the max I can do in this character, and as soon as I pull a set of them, right, then I'll throw down my static field, firewall, you know, something like that, and then I'll immediately pull out my weapon and just start blocking, right? Most mages will be like, nah, man, just spam heal and all that stuff. And yeah, you can do that, right? But while you're getting wailed on, the chances of you fumbling your cast is significantly increased, and you know, it's just better for you to try to stand there and block while they're standing in the AoE versus trying to just out-heal the damage. At least in my experience, my personal opinion, alright? Oh shit, my house is over there. So we're also upgrading the house to level 2 as well. I've farmed enough bandits to get to the point to where we are upgrading our house here. Alright, so now that we're back in the crib, right, first things first. We're going to go ahead and get our mats out of our inventory that we don't need. And then we're going to open up our bag here and be like, what do we do need? So I am going to need this. And I already have purified water. And then I'm going to grab 10 of these for demonstration purposes. And you need this for the weather changing magic, which is what I'm fixing to demonstrate right now. Okay? And this is why you need these right here. Now, this is the most advanced magic you can do, right? See, the atmospheric conditions are not in alignment for the spell, right? So what do? Well, you change the fucking weather. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make it rain. Weather magic is the hardest thing to do in this game. It takes the most points. It also takes the most time to train. So as you can see, look up in the sky, and what it'll do is it'll create clouds. And depending on where you're at in the world and the current weather conditions, it's going to determine how much you have to cast these spells. So if you make it rain in Medulli, for example, right, the chances of it starting to get foggy based on the pre-existing atmospheric conditions are amplified. As you can see, we're starting to get cloudy, right? You can see the clouds starting to form in the sky. And this process takes, again, a while. And it looks like it's already starting to get foggy. So I might not even have to do the heat increase. But we'll see anyway. We'll try. Because, like I said, weather magic takes the longest to set up for. Alright, so we're raining right now. We're raining, boys. We got it raining. Alright, so we're getting there. Alright, now we're gonna cast the heat magic. Now, as you can see around me, it's starting to get a little bit foggy, right? That's what we want to see. Okay? Now that the atmospheric conditions are set the way they need to be set, you can now begin to train your weather magic. As you can see, I'm having a hard time casting some of these spells because, again, like, you got to set up the environment to do this stuff. And then you gotta sit here and you gotta continue casting until it casts. Just like that. So, that's pretty much the basic rundown of elementalism. There's a lot more to go over on the topic. A lot more that, I can cover in a video online without going into a huge tech talk about it, which I already have. But I think 45 minutes of your time watching this is enough. And again, the amount of time it takes to get elementalism up to where I'm at is a very long time, guys. All right, it takes a very long time to get this shit leveled up, and when you start to train these two particular spells, emanation and direction, it literally it takes time to set up the environment in order to cast these spells. So there you go, boys. That's Elementalism 101.